With the time being 7 o'clock, I'm calling to order the fall town meeting. However, there are still a number of people still in line to check in, so we'll move to a 5-minute recess and reconvene at 7:08. Good evening once again, everyone. Our guests are all checked in, so we can now get started with our meeting. Thank you all for coming to the Norton Fall Town Meeting. As we get started, I'd just like to ask our Honorary Mayor, Peter J. Wiggins, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Peter. Thank you, Peter. All right. There we go. All right. How's the volume out there? Everybody good? Thumbs up in the back? Yeah, good. Thank you. All right. Welcome to Fall Town Meeting. I am Town Moderator Jack Conway. Next to me is our Town Clerk Jill Seppa. Joining us on stage are two representatives of your Finance Committee. We have FinCom Chair Bill Rotundi and FinCom Vice Chair Brandon Noble. Don't believe we have any state reps in attendance tonight. Before we get into the main entree that is tonight's warrant, let's have a quick amuse-bouche to review the ground rules. As always, this is your meeting. Please ask questions about any procedures or articles as we're going through. So we don't want anybody to not ask things because they don't feel comfortable. This is your place to do so. I may not always have the answers, but thankfully there's a lot of other smart people around here who probably do, and we'll ask them. All right. I ask everyone to please find a seat for the meeting. Standing in the back and on the sides creates problems both on a noise level and in counting standing votes. If you are not a registered voter in the town of Norton, you are certainly welcome to attend, but I ask that you sit in the section, the last 3 rows over on the stage right. If you are a registered voter, please sit anywhere else. Your vote will not be counted if you're sitting in the non-voting section. If you wish to address the meeting, you must do so only after being recognized by the moderator. There are 2 microphones located in the back aisle for this purpose. The microphone down front will be used by town employees and folks who are presenting. Please move to one of those if you wish to speak and wait to be recognized. When speaking, we ask that you please identify yourself by name and address for the record. Please try and keep your statements concise, direct, and limited only to the matter under consideration at time. All speakers at this meeting will be treated with courtesy by the moderator and everyone else in this room. No speaker will be allowed to use the meeting for personal attacks on any individual. All remarks need to be directed towards me, and while I recognize that can be an awkward and unnatural way of communicating in a setting like this, those are the rules, and admittedly, I struggled with that at our last meeting, so we're going to try to focus on that this time. I will allow questions to be asked of individuals. However, I will not allow cross-examinations or back-and-forth discussions on the floor. In recognizing people to speak, I will call upon those who have not yet spoken on a topic before recognizing those who already have. I will recognize motions to move the question, but if in my opinion there are still people waiting to speak who may add to the discussion, I will exercise my authority to delay accepting that motion to move the question until they've had an opportunity to do so. If a standing vote is required, you'll be instructed to stand at your seats until your vote is counted. When we get into standing votes and ballot votes, Jill will guide us through that. If you wish to make an amendment to any motion, you must do so in writing and present it to us up here. Please prepare your amendment in writing. If you are moving an article that has not been recommended by the Finance Committee, you must also present that motion to us, and it must be done in the proper format. I remind you all that no motion to reconsider any article will be accepted by the moderator until at least 3 articles following that article have been acted upon by this meeting. If the article is one of the final 3 on the warrant, I will accept motions to reconsider them at any time prior to adjourning. Please be aware that any article that you act upon tonight can be reconsidered as few as 3 articles later, so please keep that in mind before you rush out. There may be requests this evening to allow non-voters to speak on certain articles. This must be done by a motion voted upon by this meeting. While it is the right decision of the meeting to allow or not allow non-residents to speak, please keep in mind that they may have information to add to the discussion. All non-voters must approach the moderator if they wish to be heard. So show of hands for allowing non-residents to speak on certain topics. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. All right. And lastly, and this is more of a personal ask. Sorry?
If it was approved for non-voters to be able to speak.
Yes, it was approved for non-voters to speak. Sorry about that. Thank you, Joe. Lastly, let's be kind to one another. We are all here because we care about our community. While we may hold differing opinions on things, sometimes passionately so, I believe it's important to disagree without disagreeable. Now, without further ado, I would like to ask Madam Clerk, do we have a return of this warrant?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I have served the warrant by posting attested copies at Chartley Post Office, Norton Post Office, Norton Municipal Center, Norton Public Library, and 3 other public places within the limits of said town, 7 days at least before the time of holding said meeting. Attest Michael Mayer, Constable Norton, dated October 9th, 2025.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Without further ado, Article 1.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. FinCom Chair.
I move that the town vote to pay the following unpaid bills incurred in the prior fiscal year using free cash in the amount of $22,627.31 as indicated in the chart.
Yep. We could just scroll down on, or scroll up on that chart so we can.
Nope, other way.
Yep. Yep. We just center on the top page there.
So $15,383.68 for data processing, $7,142.38 again for data processing, $101.25 for municipal building, total of $22,627.31.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on this topic? Yes. If you could just move to a microphone.
Debbie Winston, 77 Elm. I'm just curious, what is the data processing for? What was the Verizon? I just want to know what those were.
Mr. Town Manager.
Good evening. My name's Mark Gould. I'm the new town manager. Really happy to be here. Looking forward to working together. The data processing, these essentially are bills received after July 15th. So we have 2 bills for the assessor's flyover for a total of $15,000 and change, and a $7,000 phone bill that was received after July 15th. Also a $101 trash bill.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Now, this article requires 4/5 in order to pass, so it's, unless it's unanimous, we'll need to do a standing vote count. So if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of Article 1 as presented. Oh, there's somebody waving his hand in the back, sorry. Okay. Can we up the juice on the mic? There we go. How's that? Better, okay. All right, one more time. All those in favor of Article 1 as presented, please raise your hand. All opposed? Hold on one moment, we have one person. Attorney Fair? If we got one person, do we have to count? All right. With one person dissenting, we have 4/5 majority to do so. No? Okay. No. Okay, so we're going to have to count. Sorry about that. All right. So Jill, take us away.
So first, we're going to line up the workers, and then you'll call for a yay, and then we'll count.
All right, so we're going to call our poll workers down. We have the auditorium broken into sections, A, B, C, D, and E. You will each be tabulated separately and brought forward. Good. How's it going, Mark? Has to be. It's if one person for this, for 4/5. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Hey, what's up, guys?
Brandon to be second.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Yes. All right. All right, sorry. We'll figure it out. Bumpy start. Thanks. For 4/5 vote, yeah. Thank you. No problem. You too. Madam Clerk, we good to go? All right. All those in favor of Article 1, please stand and remain standing. More important for ballots. One more moment. Thank you. All right. Please be seated. All those opposed, please stand. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. All right. So by a vote of 249 yea and 2 nay, Article 1 passes by 4/5 majority vote. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
motion to take Article 15 out of order.
We have a motion to take Article 15 out of order. Do we have a second? We have a second. So Article 15 is the zoning article.
Correct.
And second.
Yep.
All right. All those in favor of resequencing to take Article 15 now, please raise your hand. Sorry. Nope. I will get very, very close. Thank you. All right. Yes. Oh. Okay. So we're all a little bit low for those in the back. All right. Okay. So there was a motion to take Article 15 out of order. So that's what we are voting on now. We had the yeas. All opposed, please raise your hand. So this is just on resequencing. This is not about the article itself. So moderator declares a majority in favor. So we will now move to Article 15.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Hold on, we got to open it from here. Article 15.
Mr. Moderator?
Yep. Absolutely.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to amend the town zoning bylaw by deleting the existing zoning bylaw, Chapter 175, in its entirety, but excluding the zoning map, and inserting in its place a new Chapter 175 as set forth in the document entitled Norton's Zoning Bylaw, on file in the office of the town clerk and available on the town website at www.nortonmass.org.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Brendan. We have a motion and a second. The article is open for discussion. Planning Board Chair, Mr. Boulay, if you could just say your name and address for us.
Yes, Alan Boulay, 9 Charles Lane, Chairman of the Planning Board. Is that better for volume out back? Can this go up? I can't. How about that? Yes. That's better? Yes? Thank you. Tonight, along with myself, the rest of the planning board is sitting to the left over there. Tim Griffin, Eric Norris, Bridget Carr, Rob Welsh, and Steve Warshall. Also here tonight is Chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Mr. Tom Noel, seated at the end. Also with us is our town planner, Paul DiGiuseppe, and our building commissioner, Ed Bailey. The planning board voted 6-0 in the affirmative to support this article at our October 7th joint meeting with the Select Board and Finance Commission. At subsequent meetings, the Select Board, Finance Commission, and ZBA voted unanimously to support this article as well. I would like to thank the Select Board, Finance Commission, the ZBA, and all others that have spent time on this document and helped get us here today. This process started 2 years ago in September of 2023, when the town was awarded a grant of $60,000 for fiscal year 2024 for a zoning recodification that was applied for by a former town planner. In 2021, this body adopted the master plan of 2021. This was preceded by a lengthy process of public comment, community meetings, and many hours of discussion at public hearings. The master plan called out several areas of the current zoning bylaw that were in need of updating. The zoning bylaw of the town should, by nature, be a living document that constantly evolves over time with the town as laws and community needs and concerns arise. The town charter charges the planning board with these duties. This bylaw was brought before this meeting in the spring of 2025. Preceding that meeting, the planning board held 15 public hearings from late 2024 into early 2025. These meetings also included joint meetings with the Select Board, ZBA, and FinCom. The proposed bylaw was defeated, and immediately at the next planning board meeting, we started to discuss the route forward. Since the Springtown meeting, the Planning Board has held 9 noticed public hearings, including a joint meeting with the Select Board, ZBA, and FinCom, where this bylaw was discussed. Public comment was received, and the document was amended to the version that is before you today. A question and answer session was held at the Senior and Community Center on October 15th, hosted by the town planner and attended by Planning Board members and about a dozen members of the public. The purpose of this bylaw update was improve the usability, consistency, and legal defensibility of our bylaws. One objective was to reorganize the sections that had language and definitions spread throughout different articles and grouped together to provide a more consistent and easier to interpret document. There are several changes to the text that bring us up to date with the most current state laws, such as adding accessory dwelling units. There were also several areas identified as in need of updating or clarification that came from the ZBA and Building Commissioner's office. The Building Commissioner is our zoning enforcement officer, and it is his job to apply these laws on a daily basis. This update is just the start of our work on this document. In this 2-year process, the boards have identified many other areas of this bylaw that still need addressing. During our meetings, we have recognized these items needing further research, guidance, and public comment. Attorney Mark Bobrovsky is here tonight. He is the attorney hired by the town with the initial grant money and was tasked with drafting the new bylaw. He worked with the planning board through this past spring's town meeting, in which time his contract was complete. Since the spring meeting, Attorney Bobrovsky has not been contracted with the town or involved in any changes made to this document, and he is here tonight being paid through the planning board budget, which is $3,500 a year. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mark, and he's going to lead us through the changes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, town meeting members. Mark Bobrovsky. My office is in Concord, Massachusetts. I've been a land use lawyer for 40 years. I'll be retiring on the 40th anniversary of my swearing in at Faneuil Hall on December 15th of this year. This is about the 120th town that I've written the zoning in. The Commonwealth has 351 cities and towns. Boston doesn't count because it has its own system. So I bring to the task here my experience in other communities, and everybody has their own unique way of looking at this. Nobody does it the exact same way. Cities, for example, have a different approach than many of our smaller towns. So the first thing, are we on restructuring? Yes. So this is an example of how the bylaw has been restructured. You can see that the existing column indicates that the wetland protection, floodplain overlay, water resource, marijuana overlay, large-scale ground-mounted solar overlay are scattered throughout the bylaw. They should be together. They're a family of special districts, overlay districts. They're not in the use table because they're often competing with the underlying use. And so they have a special place, a special chapter, if you will, of their own. This is similar to other sections of the bylaw. Section 6, for example, is general regulations, and general regulations that apply to everyone would include parking, signs, the new performance standards section, landscaping, and lighting. So those are things that will be grouped together when a planning board application is submitted or an application to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The decision makers know they look to Chapter 6 for those standards that they will be applying. Chapter 7 is special residential regulations. So the overlay districts, I'm sorry, not the overlay district, but the new cluster provision, flexible development is located there. The accessory dwelling units, which was recommended by the governor and has now been required of every city and town, is in that section as well. And then all definitions have been grouped together in the back like a glossary. If you use the new bylaw and you want to look up a term, you can immediately flip to the back 15, 20 pages, and all the definitions are in that location. You can go to the next slide, please. In our work, we've been mindful of the fact that much has changed over the past couple of years. Governor Baker had a housing bill that he had in his last term that added several changes to how housing management and progress is going to be made in the Commonwealth. Governor Healy added to this back in August a year ago. She mandated that every city and town adopt an accessory dwelling unit bylaw. The Attorney General's office held numerous symposia on how this bylaw should work, and the Attorney General's office must approve your bylaw as a town. Cities don't have to worry about this, but every one of our towns must have every bylaw approved by the Attorney General's office. So mindful of our mandate to have a new ADU bylaw, that's now in here. There's also a section, for example, that broadens the merger of lots to allow for more housing. The former provision said that if the lot had 5,000 square feet, 50 feet of frontage, was zoned residential, and was held in separate ownership on the day it became non-conforming, you could have a house, a single-family or a two-family house. That's now been, there's an addition. It didn't supersede that provision. That provision still exists. But the new provision says if the lot has 10,000 square feet, even if it was held in common ownership with an adjacent lot, you can have up to 1,850 square feet of heated area on the lot. You can see the housing impetus here behind two governors in a row who are pushing for more units to be constructed in Massachusetts. Other changes that we made are based more on case law. There's a lowering of the distance requirement for adult entertainment from 1,000 feet to 500 feet of separation. The First Amendment cases that the Supreme Court of the United States has fashioned indicate that not only must the speech be allowed, but there must be a reasonable opportunity for it to exist on the ground. The lead Massachusetts case comes from Tingsboro. Tingsboro rezoned 0.99 and more decimals percent of Tingsboro for adult entertainment, and the court held in a town of 10,000 people with about 10,000 acres. That was enough. Every town has a different standard. If you're in Medway, 1.3 per section, 2 downtown blocks, not enough. But a reasonable opportunity is required on a case-by-case view. There's a provision in your current zoning that says that 10% of the lots in a subdivision of 6 or more units must be affordable. That's contrary to rulings of our appeals court that say that a subdivision cannot be put on special permit, even if it's to create affordable housing. The land court this year ruled, Judge Rubin ruled, that the rule applies as well to affordable housing creation. You can encourage affordable housing. You can use a carrot approach, but you can't use a stick approach. And you had the stick approach. Many towns had this in place at the time the appeals court and Judge Rubin ruled at the land court that it was impermissible. And then the last section on political signs is an old Supreme Court case called Ladue, Village of Ladue versus Gileo. It's a suburb of the city of St. Louis. The defendant in the case had a sign in her window, "No to the Gulf War," the first Gulf War, George Bush Sr.'s Gulf War. Neighbors kept tearing it down. She complained. Eventually, she put it in her window, and the city told her to take it down. And she said, "This is the highest and best form of speech, political speech. I'm not taking it down." And she won. So you can't tell anybody in town that they have to take down a political sign within 3 weeks after the election, for example. They get to keep it up if that's what they want to do. And that's not our rule in Massachusetts. That's the highest court of the United States that issued this decision. So all of these are changes that you can see are, in many instances, unanticipated. And bylaws have to constantly change in order to accommodate these rulings that come down from the courts or new statutes that come down from the legislature. It's a constant battle to stay in front of it. And the new bylaw does its best to stay out in front. Next provision, or slide rather. That's it. That's the slide? Yes. Oh, it's not the same order I have it in. Well, we'll just go with that. So there's added performance standards that allow the town to impose objective standards for new commercial development. And those are in the area of noise, lights, landscaping, traffic management, utility connections, lot clearance, and you know, how do you come into the process of clearing a lot, and what standards should be used with regard to vegetated buffers and maximum clearing areas. And then there's some sections, some additional language for special permits, which we'll get to in a second. The Village Commercial has very strict and numerous zoning district design guidelines. We broke it out, made them into enforceable standards. It's nothing new, it's just a reconfiguration of the way that they're framed in the bylaw. And then the planning board may issue waivers of all of these provisions where the applicant can make a compelling showing that the town is still being protected. The old site plan review bylaw that you have says maximize this and minimize that. There's standards now. Lights cannot exceed a certain overspill or glare encroachment on an adjacent property. Noise is borrowed from the state standard. It allows, it would prohibit anybody from doubling the sound of noise as measured by a handheld sound meter. Go ahead to the next one. And then there are new uses and definitions that were previously missing. Some of the uses that we added we think will be appealing to the community, like health club, brewery. Other things that have been tightened include definitions in the back. If you compare the number of definitions in your old bylaw with the number of definitions in the new bylaw, it's probably on the order of a third more, because the building commissioner otherwise is left out to sea trying to figure out what the bylaw means. The more guidance we can give the building commissioner, the better the decision-making should be. We did not make the development more permissible in residential zoning. In other words, we didn't lower any dimensional standards. We didn't change any district boundaries. We've also already covered adult entertainment, added a new provision with regard to senior housing. Senior housing basically has 4 flavors: independent living, assisted living, memory care, and long-term care. And those types of care are now provided for in a section on senior living. As the population ages, you want to give them opportunity to age in place. By providing those opportunities, all 4, the town can let seniors stay in town as they need housing toward the end of life. There's a creative process for uses exempt from special permits. Site plan review is required in many instances for new development. More restrictions for multifamily housing in the R40 district, a change that came after I finished up my work in the spring, but I'm sure the chairman or Paul can speak to that. Accessory structure has been increased from 100 to 200 square feet. 200 square feet is the new standard for a building permit if the accessory structure is on a permanent foundation. And then lastly, increases the expansion of a non-conforming single-family or two-family from 25 to 50%. So that, I think, allows for greater flexibility as we remodel and create new opportunities to stay in the existing home. Next slide. I think it's a lot more user-friendly. That's the bottom line. It's supposed to be something easy to use. The use table now is not random, it's organized. It's residence, it's institutional, it's agricultural, it's commercial uses, it's industrial uses, it's accessory uses. They're all grouped together. If you're a new person coming into town and you want to start a business, you should be able to take the use table, look at the district that your property is located in, and then you can see in the left-hand side of the column all the uses, and they're all clearly marked: yes, no, or special permit, which puts you in front of the special permit granting authority for a discretionary jump ball decision, up or down. There's clear development pathways, as I just indicated. All of the ambiguities, some of the bylaw says turn left, and parts of the other parts of the bylaw say turn right. Those have all been combed out of the bylaw. And the applicants are now required to consult the Historic District Commission before submitting permit applications. That's another change that was made after I left in May of last year, of this year. Go ahead, please. So ADU, this is mandate. This comes down from the Attorney General's office. This is what they wanted to see. They sent out templates, and they looked at the work that we were doing here as the winter unfolded last year, because they wanted everybody to be done by February. They later gave an extension of time. But those are the new provisions that are now, interestingly, not by special permit by 2/3 vote, but by 50% plus one vote. That's, again, the state wants housing and they want it badly. We're only 8 years behind in terms of the production of housing to get people to be able to live in Massachusetts where the jobs are located here. Go ahead. These are the standards for approving special permits. And you can go to the next slide as well. So these are the special permit conditions that we've adopted to make it very clear to the applicant, to the neighbors, and to the special permit granting authority what topics the planning board or the zoning board of appeals, when each is acting as special permit granting authority, are going to consider as they go through the process. One, do we need it? Is it something that we've got too much of already? Number two, what is the impact going to be on neighborhood character? Number three, what is the scope of the utility connection that's needed here? Is there water sewer capacity, for example, and can it fit into the pipes if that's what they're going to use? Number four, will it endanger the environment? And that's a broad category. It's everything from stormwater management to lights. Five would be the impact on, the fifth one would be motor vehicles. So it would be traffic, parking. Those things, are they going to work properly? And the last one is, what's the fiscal impact? Is it going to cost us money if we allow this, or will it have a positive revenue generation that will add to the treasury in town? Will it create jobs? What will the fiscal impact be? Those are the new factors to be considered. As well, the new performance standards will go into the shaping of the project. This isn't so much a decision-making criterion as it is how do we design the thing in the first place to come in on the application properly. We're going to want to know about the noise, the fiscal impact, site development standards, the lighting, the utilities, aesthetic repercussions. That's mostly to do with the architecture of the building, traffic management standards, and pedestrian and vehicular access. So it's not minimize this or maximize that. It's tell us exactly what you've got. Here's what we'd like to see. There's standards in there. There's numbers in there. And if you need a waiver, ask for the waiver and show us that you won't hurt anybody if we grant you the waiver. Next slide.
Mr. Dombrowski, if we could try to wrap this up. We've been going for about 20 minutes or so.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Definitions, as I indicated, are now all in Chapter 11 of the new bylaw. Go ahead. There you go.
Perfect timing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank
I'm
you
happy
for
to
that.
answer any questions you might have, with the moderator's permission.
Okay. So at this time, the floor is open for any public comment. I realize this is a very dense topic and it's hard to go through. So I've asked the town clerk to put up a comparison of the zoning bylaw changes so we can go section by section, but we'll start with the gentleman in the back. If you could just say your name and address, please.
Yeah, my name is Christopher Gerard, and I live at 3 Washburn Street. Just a question on the new noise zoning bylaw. What does the current zoning bylaw say about noise, and what does the proposed zoning bylaw say about noise?
Mr. Belay?
Currently, we do not have a noise bylaw in the town.
So the zoning doesn't address noise at all currently?
Correct.
And what would the new zoning bylaw address? What are they defining as the allowable limits?
Sure.
Anticipating that this might be a topic we'd discuss, I sent Paul a summary of the state regulation, which is 310 CMR 7.10. CMR is Code of Massachusetts Regulations. This is implemented by the DEP's Air Division. Sounds kind of weird to me, always has, but it's the air division of DEP that controls this. There we go. So this this is right from the regulations. The introduction gives you the basics. There's a section there that talks about exempt uses, and if you go one more page, yeah, page 3 of 3.
Is there a
That-
time component to that? Meaning like you can't have excessive noise prior to 7 a.m. or after, say, 6 p.m.?
Those are the rules on the top of that page. So a source of sound, this applies to 2 types of generators. 1, new uses coming online, and 2, violations by existing users. And the standard is, if we lost it, the standard is that you cannot increase the broadband sound level by more than 10 decibels above ambient. So you take a read of the sound, and then you take a read of the ambient. 2 different meters on a handheld sound meter, but that's the way the read is taken. And you then have an illegality or a violation if the sound is more than 10 dBA above the ambient. And
Right,
that's
but most
that's
zoning
actionable.
bylaws in most towns, they have restrictions on certain hours of the day. So for example, after, say, 6 p.m., the requirement would go down to, what the existing was, and then prior to 7 a.m., it would still be the existing, and then it would allow the noise to increase after 7 a.m.
Yeah,
So there's no time restriction then?
This is always.
Excuse me?
There's no time restriction on this. It's every minute of every day.
No, I understand that.
I understand what you're
You
saying.
answered my question.
If we could.
Thank you.
Through the moderator, I know it's awkward. Mr. Zona?
Chris Zana, Board of Health. So to answer that question a little bit, there are exemptions on the 310 CMR 710. And those exemptions, that says it shall not apply to sounds emitted by, and it's mainly like parades, public gatherings, stuff that you do within the town for activities, emergency, police, fire, ambulance vehicles, or any national defense activities, and then domestic equipment such as lawnmowers, power saws, are between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's the exemptions. So
How about like generators or things, parts of commercial buildings like HVAC units?
So they would just fall
Mechanical
under that 10 decibel. So what this is going to do, I'm going to be honest with you. So what's happened in the past is we didn't have anything like this in the bylaws. So these boards, doing the best they can, allowed stuff to come into town, and then I get stuck with fixing it afterwards, okay? That's what's happened. That's why we're here doing it this way. We want to set it up so that it gets caught in the beginning, so we can make sure they have noise dampening shielding around some of these units. We had a facility in town, I'm not going to mention who it is, but they've spent over $1 million recently to fix the sound issue that was left on my lap, okay? My board ended up forcing them to put $1 million wall up. So it is this is definitely where we should be going. We should be putting this in the zoning bylaws so that they are aware, the planning board and the zoning board are aware that they need to focus on it, and if they can't handle it, call me into your meeting and we'll talk about it, but let's try to solve it and get a plan before it happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think everybody in the room agrees with that they want a noise restriction. I'm just trying to see if what we've written is extensive enough, meaning, like I said, does it have hours of operation? And you can also have the noise level at the edge of the property go down to 0 as well. You can put that in there so that we don't have any changes to the neighborhood.
Yeah, okay, so my recommendation at this point is this is a fantastic start. These things can always be amended down the road. We can make amendments to our bylaws, all right? Right now, we don't have it at all. So let's go with what the state minimum is right now. If we find we need to check it and fix it down the road, that's what I would suggest. But right now, we have nothing, so
Can we amend it tonight?
I can't, but
So if we can Again, through the moderator.
I
know
can't.
it's awkward.
I can't, so.
If you would like to make amendment, you can do so at any point in writing. Thank you, sir. Jim.
Mr. Moderator, my name is Jim Shabbat. I live at 56 Mansfield Avenue. I do not have an amendment. I do not have a stack of papers in my hand. I'm planning on keeping this short and only to things that I can remember. The first thing, and maybe it's a rhetorical question, how many people have read this article? Okay, if you've read it, then some of these comments are going to be familiar. If you haven't read it, bear in mind, this is a matter of trust. We've got 170 some odd pages, and we're being asked to trust that it's okay. We sent what I thought was a clear message at the last town meeting. Do not change everything around and make changes at the same time. I remember that being said more than once. The other thing that was said was bring changes one or two at a time and explain them. This is neither of those. The first one I want to speak to is the recodification or reorganization. If you have read it, you realize this is a cut and paste job. This is taking what we've had, we've got categories, we've got new categories, cut, paste, throw it together. There's no unification of language. It actually, the order might make more sense, but the text and the document itself makes far less sense before. I read the whole thing. It is literally maddening to try to make sense of this document. One of the things we do when we change the order of a document is, yes, that's the first step. You cut and paste, you move it over. Then you unify the language. When you go from one piece to the very next piece, you make sure the language flows from one to the other. We have many changes over many years that were made to this document in different sections. The order that our document is presently in is chronological. We had, in 1974, it was a little small booklet. There weren't that many sections. As we found things we needed to regulate, we would add a section. So the later sections are more modern. What happens is the language doesn't match. Now we've taken language from different eras, we've just thrown it together with no attempt to unify the language, and now what we have is a document that not to repeat myself, but my wife tells me I do that frequently. It's maddening to read this. It is not orderly. It doesn't make sense. My second point is anyone who is familiar with the building code, the electrical code, the plumbing code, the Massachusetts general laws, federal laws, pretty much any code in existence, we don't do this. We have an order to the document, and if we don't need a section, we take it out, we leave it blank. When we add a section, we add a section. What we don't do is move things around. The reason we don't move things around is because this is a living, breathing document. It changes. What it cannot change is what's already happened. If your home was built in 2000, then the zoning code in 2000 is what dictates what you're allowed on your property in certain ways, not in every way. Some things can change. So what you need to do is you need to be able to look back through these documents and codes and laws and whatever to see what they were before and how they've changed. Once you change it all around, I have no clue how the building inspector is going to be able to sit down with previous zoning bylaws, the current zoning bylaw, and wade through this thing. The easy way to do it, just send it to town council. I don't know if we have a flat fee or if we pay by the hour, but the bill's going to go up if we pay by the hour. I can tell you that right now. The other part I wanted to address is the changes. Now, I can't address all the changes because there are that many. A couple of them to look at and to be concerned about, I think. The first one is the purpose of the zoning bylaw, the very first paragraph. If you read our existing zoning bylaw, we are protecting the residents of the town of Norton. You read through the different things that are protected. It is geared to protecting the residents of the town of Norton. When you read the new one, it's geared towards protecting outside interests, outside mandates, and outside views, not the residents of the town of Norton. What we are creating here, and I've heard it more than once, is we're protecting the town, and the town isn't considered the residents of the town. Oh, I'm sorry. This town is the residents of the town, not the employees of the town, not the elected officials of the town. It's the residents of this town. The purpose of this zoning bylaw has changed. It no longer protects the residents of this town. Another one is that good zoning tells you what you can do and what you cannot do. Now, we've heard a lot about performance standards and things like that, but we haven't had anything that changes more towards telling people what they can do and what they cannot do. If you look at that table of uses, there are 168 boxes that say PB. 168 places where you can't look and say, this is what I have to do, this is allowed. 168 places where you have to go before the planning board and you have to hope they like you. Now, the reason I say that is because we have hired a building commissioner, a professional who knows the codes, knows zoning. That's his job. That's what he does for a living. We have a health agent, the same thing. But our planning board, and no insult intended, which one of the members of this planning board has experience in any field related to legal, zoning, building, construction, any of these things? Okay, we got one. Thank you, sir. It's not always the case. It's whoever, I hate to say this, but over the last 40 or 50 years that I can remember, how do you get on the planning board? You get really, really mad at something and you run and you've got an ox to gore. That's how people have gotten on the planning board. I'm not saying that's the current board, but that's always been the way it's been. Someone gets really mad and they run on the planning board. We need to lean more on our department heads, on our professionals, and less on our planning board. What happens, you've got all these performance standards now. You hire a whole bunch of professionals, they meet all of these standards, you bring your proposal in, and I can tell you from personal experience, you go to month after month, a total of 6 months of planning board hearings, they take those recommendations, they like the guy, they approve it, whether it hurts the neighborhood or not. They don't care. And I can tell you that from personal experience, and I'm not going to belabor that point. The last thing I want to, and I could go on for a long time, but I promise not to. The last thing I want to address is special permits. There was a condition of a special permit that specifically said the proposed use must be better and have less impact than what is allowed by right. In other words, if you say we're not going to approve the special permit, what's allowed by right can't be worse. The special permit has to be something that's better than what's allowed by right. That section's gone. It's been changed. If you read the new section on special permits, it's, I hate to say this, there are performance standards. They can always be met by a paid professional, one way or the other. The new standards are carte blanche.
Thank you. Mr. Colagliano.
Well, I was going to ask you if we've had enough debate for me to make my motion, but if this gentleman would like to speak.
If you would like to have him go, sir, in the blue shirt.
Yeah, Julian Cadish, 72 Reservoir Street. I am not positively influenced by Mr. Chabot's statement. It seems he says there's a problem, but he doesn't want to change anything to solve the problem. And my view is we have a collection of people that have spent a tremendous amount of time with the help of a legal professional to improve this, And if Mr. Shabbat feels the language still isn't good enough, that should be an amendment later.
Thank you, sir. Debbie?
Debbie Winston, 77 Elm Street. I highly disagree with the last speaker. Jim Shabbat has more expertise than anybody in this room with regard to that. And it is a trust issue with our planning board. They were going to shove 1,700 units down our throat.
Thank you. Who do we got? Mr. Colagliano.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 15 be referred to the Planning Board to obtain additional resident input and to make further revisions than would be possible at this meeting. The referral is required as the residents were not properly noticed as required under the bylaw, and because the proposed bylaw is flawed and not ready to be voted on. I would like to speak to this.
Okay, do we have a second on this motion? Okay, motion and a second. So, Mr. Colagliano, I think your presentation's loaded if you'd like to come down. So, what the motion is to refer this article back to the planning board. So it would not be voted on tonight. It would come back at a future meeting with more work. Everybody clear on that? Okay.
No, I'd rather have you do it, because there's a lot of information here. Hi, my name is Joe Cogliano, 202 Bay Road. I want to thank everybody for coming out. This really is what's wonderful, is that people are interested in this, that they come out. So thank you. So first, I agree that the bylaw needs to be updated. My concerns involve improper process and notice, that my questions have not been answered, the board did not provide the proposed changes in a context that could be understood. The proposed bylaw is flawed, and I believe that some of the changes are not in the best interest of the town. Slide 1, please. So regarding the proposed Norton zoning bylaw being improperly noticed to the residents. No, that's not slide 1. Further back. Oh, I'm sorry, that's it. Thank you. Under the current zoning bylaw at section 12.2b, the default position is mailed notice for zoning amendments, not notice by newspapers. That's the starting point. Notice of such hearing shall be mailed to all property owners according to the latest tax record. Further down, you will see that statement that general notice will serve where the proposed amendment is of universal or wide application in town. Now that's ambiguous, and we know that's ambiguous because the lawsuit that I had with the town over the solar thing, the appeals court said it was ambiguous. Now, the board relied on general notice or by the newspaper instead of the clearly stated requirement to mail notice for such an important matter involving property rights and free speech. If you don't get notice, you can't speak for or against something. Now, especially when you consider that general notice by newspaper does not reach 94% of the households in the town, according to the Sun Chronicle's own subscription statistics, notice via newspaper is unreasonable. The Sun Chronicle has only 400 print subscriptions in the town of Norton versus approximately 6,900 households. Now, I personally don't believe the board should be trying to find excuses to avoid proper and fair notice to residents. The lack of proper notice is demonstrated by the fact that few people showed up at the board's hearings. Now, even if you assume the exception to mailed notice is not ambiguous and general notice due to wide application is based on geography, sections of the proposed bylaw still required mail notice. If we look at the multifamily mixed-use overlay district, section 9.7, this is completely new. It has its own map and proposed language. It's allowed in 3 of the 7 districts, VC, VCC, and C. Amending the zoning bylaw and map to allow this district requires mail notice under 12.2b and 3.3 of the current bylaw. Now, there is also precedent in the town for mailing notice with overlay districts. The town mailed notice regarding the marijuana overlay district. That use is allowed in the industrial district. The adult entertainment establishment, section 7.2, is a completely new section of the proposed bylaw and only allowed in the industrial district. Adding this section to the proposed bylaw requires mailed notice under 12.2B. At section 9.5, design in the village commercial district, these zoning changes impact one district. Mail notice was required there. Because the board did not follow the requirements of the zoning bylaw to provide proper notice, the proposed bylaw should not be being put forth at the town meeting at this time. Now, the proposed bylaw is also planning to remove mailed notice under 12.2B for zoning amendments, which means you're not going to get notice as an abutter. Now, there are on average only about 2 to 3 zoning articles at a town meeting, so the cost for mailed notice is not that great, especially if you noticed all 3 at one time. It cost about $3,500 for a 6,900-piece postcard mailing. Slide 2, please. Now, the proposed bylaw also contains serious errors. If we look at table 3.2, we see that large-scale ground-mounted solar, this is from the proposed bylaw, is showing up as special permit in VC, VCC, commercial, and industrial. Essentially, this is allowing large-scale battery storage in every district except R40. Okay? That's not a good thing. Now, let me just see where I am. Okay. Now, why is this a problem? It's a problem because, A, it's wrong. That is not what it says. If we go to slide 3, please. This is the language in the bylaw that was not changed. 7.4, large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installations shall be allowed as follows. Shall be allowed as follows. On no less than 2 acres within commercial and industrial zoning districts, and on no less than 5 acres within residential R60 and R80. That means that this graph actually should have a Y on commercial and industrial. It should have no's on all the VC, the VCC, and then it's okay as a special permit under the R80 and R60 because read what it says for special permit. Large-scale ground-mounted solar located within R80 and R60 shall be allowed only upon the grant of a special permit. So that graph is wrong, and what's troubling is that we don't know what else is wrong because it's been so hard to go through this thing. I've spent a lot of time trying to analyze this thing, and it's very difficult. If we show slide 4. Now, slide 4 is further proof that what I'm telling you is correct. This is from the current bylaw. You'll notice how VCC is an N. That's because that was passed in around 2020. Those hash marks are referring you back to the article, which means you've got to go over the language that I just said to you. So that's very troubling. Now, one of the flaws of the proposed bylaw is that the proposed changes are not shown in the context of the existing bylaw format as is common practice. Any lawyer knows you get a document, you make your changes, they're in red, they're underlined, they're in something different, but you have to have the context of seeing where you started. This is made worse by the fact that not all of the changed language in the current bylaw is shown in the proposed bylaw red line version. The board is trying to revise the bylaw and reorganize it at the same time instead of making changes in 2 steps. First you revise it, then you reorganize it. Could I see slide 5, please? Now, this slide represents the proposed bylaw, section 9.7, multifamily mixed-use overlay district. Now, this is from the red-lined version. This is new. This should be underlined. Should be underlined and redlined where it's changing from the old bylaw and where underlined where it's the new. Now, if we go to the next slide, please. Here's the next slide. These are definitions. This is supposed to be in section 11. This is one of the reasons we changed the bylaw, right, to put it all in section 11, but I disagree with the esteemed attorney. Actually putting them all into section 11, you have to be an attorney to be able to figure the cross-references. The average layperson is not going to be able to do that. So what else do we see here? Well, what's in red? Please refer to mixed use as defined in Article 2. That's the bylaw they're trying to get rid of. They're referring you to a bylaw that won't exist. That's a problem. Okay, Section 10.7 Dover amendments. Section 10.7.3 in the proposed bylaw does not take into account health, safety, and welfare considerations, which are well established in the law to regulate these uses when they cannot be conditioned. What's an example of that? Well, how about you can't build a school next to a large-scale battery energy storage facility because when it goes into thermal runaway, it's going to melt their faces off. In reading sections of the proposed bylaw, I have found missing language and language that has been moved and added without clarity. The proposed bylaw red line was supposed to show red line changes for the current bylaw and underline text for the new language. However, this process is not consistent. May I see slide 7, please? Here we have at 8.2.2 dimensional requirements for cluster development. This is out of the proposed bylaw, which means it was supposed to be the red-lined version, which should have shown changes from the old bylaw in red and underlined for the new language. Acreage requirements have been reduced from, this is under cluster development. Acre requirements have been reduced from 20 acres to 10 acres for multifamily, 15 acres to 10 acres for duplex, and 10 acres to 5 acres from single family. Now, these changes should have been underlined in the current zoning bylaw numbers redlined. They were not. This is an example of the proposed bylaw redline not accurately depicting the changes from the current bylaw or the all-new proposed language by underline. Now, another change is the medical marijuana treatment centers and marijuana establishments from not being allowed in a VC district to being allowed by special permit. This was not properly shown in the red line version of the proposed bylaw. That's a change from 4.4 current to 3.2H new. In section 3.4 under solid waste facility, the language references the DEQE, Department of Environmental and Quality Engineering, which has not existed for 3 decades. It became the Mass DEP. Other sections in the proposed bylaw refer back to sections in the current bylaw instead of the proposed bylaw. We just saw that. These points and other errors suggest that the bylaw revision was a cut and paste operation that has not been thoroughly reviewed. The board is trying to add new bylaws like noise, which that gentleman spoke of, and battery energy storage that require more input from residents and more expertise. The town does need a noise bylaw, but it should set a noise limit that meets the town's needs and not rely on the flawed minimum DEP standard of 10 dBA, which is too loud. That's double the sound level. And a pure tones analysis that is also flawed. With the 10 dBA limit, the board could not have set the 8 dBA limit it set on the project that I was opposing. So right now, the DEP limit exists at the state level. Changing a definition to allow large-scale battery energy storage without requirements, conditions, or prohibitions that belong in a separate article will endanger the people of Norton. When these systems go into thermal runaway, the result is catastrophic fire and explosion with toxic materials being generated. You can mitigate them to a degree, you can make them somewhat safer, you cannot eliminate the risk. They were meant to be developed for cell phones, not for the use that they're being used for. Chapter 48, Section 3, I have a difference of opinion with I believe the Attorney Bobrowski regarding whether or not batteries are covered under 48, Section 3. The state believes they are. That's because the state is improperly following 48, Section 3 regarding residential solar, and they've extended it to grid-scale solar to impose that on you because they're a lot smarter than us. And they really don't care about what happens to our families. 48 Section 3 allows prohibitions on battery energy battery energy storage systems to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. We need a separate battery storage bylaw, not a new definition that puts it everywhere in town. Special permit criteria appear to have been lessened in the proposed bylaw. The adult entertainment issue going from 1,000 to 500, I would need to see the case law in that. Oftentimes, these things are very fact-specific, so you have to actually see the case law. There are other changes that still need to be made to major bylaws, including the floodplain overlay district. There's problems with that. The water resource protection district, there's been a change made in that that's problematic. And the large-scale solar bylaw article. Residents asked the board to provide the language related to claimed updated case law and case citations. The board failed to do so. Residents asked the board to provide the proposed changes in the context of the existing bylaw. The board failed to do so. The current proposed bylaw is flawed in multiple ways and should be referred back to the planning board until it is revised by the planning board with input from concerned citizens and, where necessary, expert information. The proposed bylaw was not finalized until October 8th. I do not understand the rush. I think it's better to pause and work together to improve the work of the planning board rather than to approve tonight a flawed document that fails to fulfill the needs of the town and endangers its citizen. I ask you to, please vote to refer Article 15 back to the planning board. But I just want to say this. This is an opportunity for all of us to come together and help the planning board make a great bylaw. I would like our bylaw to be the best bylaw in Bristol that other towns look at. They've done a start. I think they're going too fast with it. It's too much of an undertaking for 7 people. We need as much resident input as possible on this thing to help the board. We do need to change the bylaw. We've got to go carefully, slowly. We've got to make sure we don't make mistakes, because this thing is going to last for another 20, 30 years. So I have nothing against the planning board. They're good people. They put a lot of effort into this. We should support them, but a mistake has been made. Let's just say it's a mistake and move on and work with the planning board so that at least 90% of us are happy with this thing? Thank you.
All right. Mr. Belay.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to stay up? No, that's okay. What did you want me to say?
Alan Boulay, 9 Charles Lane. It's a lot to respond to. We've seen it. Mr. Colagliano has provided it to us. I would like to say I wish all the time and effort that was put in on Mr. Coggle's behalf was spent with the planning board. I wish he spent it with us and spent the time with us working on this bylaw instead of against it and telling us what we're doing wrong. He is 100% right. We need more public participation. We've already had 23 plus hearings, public hearings on this. I'm not sure how many more people in this room are going to come to the next 15 meetings after this if we send it back tonight. We have very little public participation in town. I would also point out to Mr. Colagliano, we're a 7-member board. We're missing a member currently. We have to appoint a member. A joint meeting coming up between the select board and planning board. If you want to spend all this time on the bylaw, you should be spending it with us working on it for the town, not against us.
May I speak?
I'm not done. You just had 20 minutes, I'll take 20. There's several different points in Mr. Colagliano's presentation that are not exactly correct. I will give Mr. Bobrowski a chance to respond. We did not make any zoning map amendments at all in this change. There is no zoning map amendments proposed tonight. The solar bylaw mirrors exactly what we have right now and mirrors state law. We are not changing anything, whether you want to say it or not. What you can do today for solar is what you can do tomorrow if this passes. There is nothing factually that's going to change. The multifamily bylaw that he was referring to is not a new bylaw. We passed that at last town meeting. It simply just got added into this bylaw. It is not something new that we were adding. As far as the Dover Amendment, those are governed by the state law, and we have very little ways of conditioning Dover Amendment uses. And as far as the battery energy and battery storage, that is 100% regulated by state law. The towns are not allowed to unduly restrict battery or solar uses in town. We basically have to mirror the state law, whether we like it or not. Mr. Bobrowski, is there anything you'd like to add? No.
Okay.
Well,
Mr. Colagliano.
yes. So I can appreciate Alan's comments, but the reality is that he's mistaken. When I tried to provide this information on September 30th, I was muted at the planning board hearing. So I attempted this once before to work with the board, and also this idea that I'm against the board when, if you listen to the comments I'm saying, I'm trying to help the board and I'm trying to help our town. Regarding the battery energy storage stuff, it's really quite simple. Go to section 11, look up solar energy systems, and they've added language to include batteries into the solar bylaw, which means you're going to have batteries in all the areas that I mentioned to you. You have the potential for battery energy storage. That's a reality. It may be required by the state, but it can still be regulated. Even the Tracer Lane 2 case said that. And Mr. Bobrowski knows that. So what do we have to do? The state is forcing this stuff on us. What we have to do is have a separate energy storage bylaw. But we have to have meetings to show that we've discussed the problems. We have to build the case for health, safety, and welfare issues. Then we have to talk about it at town meeting and do the same thing. I've seen the letters from, I think her name is Margaret Hurley from Worcester, on these issues when other towns have tried to do battery storage bylaws. So the point is, there are certain rules that we have to live under, but we can make changes as the local, the local town to those things. So, in any event.
Thank you, Mr.
you.
Galliano. Mr. Griffin.
I'm Tim Griffin, 169 John Scott Boulevard, and the Vice Chair of the Planning Board. Paul, if we can just pull up the existing zoning bylaw. I promise I will not go through all of the bylaw. What I'm going to highlight is one section that is, and Paul, this is 175-19-3B. So this is our affordable housing bylaw, and it's intended to cover the requirements of when affordable housing is required in a development. So when a multifamily property comes in, our bylaws are supposed to require 10% of that development to be affordable housing. Looking at section B there in the middle of the screen, I would like everybody to read this and say, does this say that this only applies to affordable housing, to projects being built before 2003? This is the mess that we are dealing with right now. A bylaw with so much ambiguity about whether we can even require multifamily affordable housing that we got sued for it. This is what we're trying to fix. Broken bylaws that don't work, that were enacted 22 years ago, and language that doesn't make sense. Are there changes? Yes. This specifically is changed. Are there other changes? Yes. I think we've done our best efforts over 20-plus meetings to bring a better zoning bylaw tomorrow than we have today. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Any other public discussion on the motion to refer Article 15 back to the Planning Board? Oh, Mr. Shabbat?
Moderator, not seeing Keith Silver, I'd like to call the question.
Okay. So with that, we'll move to the vote. So just so everyone is explicitly clear, this vote is for an affirmative vote would send this article back to the Planning Board. If you say no, it's for going back to the main article and debating the merits of the zoning bylaw itself. This requires a majority to pass. Everybody good? Okay. All those in favor of referring Article 15 to the Planning Board, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All opposed, please raise. Article 15 is referred to the Planning Board by majority vote as declared by the moderator. All right.
When can that be reconsidered?
After 3 articles.
After 3 articles.
Yes,
So
sir.
everybody's got to stay until 3 articles.
All right. Okay. Here we go. Article 2.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Chair,
I move that the town vote to amend Section 110-10, List of Jobs, and Section 110-11, Plan Details of the Town of Norton General Bylaws, all as printed in the October 2025 Annual Town Meeting warrant. And I think if you show the chart, you should be able to see a few highlighted either salaries or job descriptions that are being proposed or being amended.
Second?
we have a motion and a second. Mr. Town Manager, would you like to speak to this article? If he's good. All
right. Sure. Mark Gould, Town Manager. Just briefly, this restructures the organization within the Town Manager's office. It's completely budget neutral, and it properly aligns the salary schedule.
right. Thank you. Any question? Oh, can you, sorry, could you please move to a microphone? Just for, I know, we have to follow parliamentary procedures.
Hi, Mr. Moderator. Debbie Winston, 77 Elm. My question is, has there been any positions added?
Mr. Town Manager.
This subtracts and adds one position. Subtracted is assistant to the town manager, added is assistant town manager. So it is budget neutral and modernizes the department. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Karen.
Karen Drain, 6 North Washington Street. I'm just curious if the assistant to the town manager will take the position of assistant town manager? And if so, do they have the qualifications to do the HR component?
So I don't believe we can get into the qualifications of a particular candidate. We're just looking at the position.
Totally
But
fine.
good question.
So then my question, sorry, is is that person going to slide into that position? Or we can't speak to that either?
I don't believe we can speak to who is going to fill that role.
Totally fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on Article 2? Please raise your hand. Oh, we have somebody coming down. Yes, sir.
Jonathan Bikes, 9 Bryson Drive. So my understanding is that the incumbent in the role has served the town of Norton for 25 years. I'd like to thank her for her service to the town and propose an alternate motion to the Finance Committee that recognizes her commitment to the town.
So you're making a motion for a recognition?
I'm making a motion to amend the FinCom's Article 2.
Could you bring the motion up? Take a look. Please hold.
time's bedtime to get up to leave by 5:15?
10 is the latest. Maybe working, well, this week, thankfully, I have training, so I'm working from home. So it aligned nicely. Okay. People are gonna leave and then they're gonna reconsider.
Then it's going to pass.
Where's Luca? Spit.
All right. You guys always keep me on my toes. There's always something new and exciting to deal with. After consulting with town council and the gentleman making the amendment, I believe he has a revision to that will comply with town meeting. So, sir?
Thank you. Jonathan Bikes, 9 Bryson Drive. I'd like to, a motion.
If you could just get closer to the microphone, sir.
Jonathan Bikes, 9 Bryson Drive. I'd like to motion to remove the strike-through for the assistant to the town manager role.
So you cut out there. I apologize.
I'd like to motion to remove the strike-through on the assistant to the town manager role in the salary plan section.
Okay. So is there a second to this? We have a second in the back. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. This would remove the strike-through from the assistant to the town manager line, but add in the assistant town manager. So both positions would remain on the table. However, and what the conversation was, town meeting cannot require any hiring or personnel changes. That is a pure function of the executive branch. So while both positions may be there, there's no additional funds being appropriated, and there's no requirement to staff both roles. Okay. Any questions on the gentleman's amendment to remove the strike-through from the assistant to the town manager line? Seeing none, all in favor of removing the strike-through? Oh, do we have somebody? Maybe? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Pat Tarantino, 212 Taunton Ave. I'm a little confused now. At first it was personnel with no impact, so you're moving it from one place to another. Now it looks like we have 2 people, or 2 positions, or 2 possible people. So we're leaving it totally open to the town manager, select board, whoever, to hire another person, because you now have 2 slots. Am I understanding that right?
Both positions would exist on that table. However, there is no budget appropriation for an additional staff as part of this article.
So can you explain what the difference is? 'Cause
It just keeps both positions there so that if in the future there was to hire an assistant to the town manager with an appropriate budget allocation, that position still exists.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions on this amendment? All those in favor of removing the strike-through on the assistant to the town manager line, please raise your hand. All opposed? Amendment does not get a majority vote. So we now go back to Article 2, which is the strike-through to the assistant to the town manager and the addition of the assistant town manager. So open the floor for debate on that.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
Would you please inform people at this hearing that they should not consider leaving if they are going to have a reconsideration of Article 15?
So I did make that statement at the beginning of the meeting, that reconsideration can happen within 3 articles. So that has been declared to the town meeting.
And how many articles have taken place?
We are none articles.
Okay. That's not good news then.
We're slogging through.
Thank you.
All right. So for your reference, Article 15 could be reconsidered after 2, 3, 4, before Article 5. Okay. Mr. Schleicher.
Nick Schleicher, 40 North Worcester Street. I heard someone say that this is cost neutral, but if I'm reading what I'm assuming is a salary range between minimum and maximum, those numbers increase in bold, and I don't see any other numbers coming down. Can someone just figure out what exactly that means, and how is it exactly cost neutral?
Yep. Mr. Town Manager.
So in the strike-through, the range is 95,000 to 145,000. In the position added, the range is 95,000 to 145,000, so it's the same.
Correct, but like the Department of Public Works, that one went up to 133 to 180. IT went up 80 from 71 to 81, and then the max would be 101, or currently is 101, and then that's also going up to 111.
So I think, Mr. Lickett, you're saying that there are additional changes that are not called out on this table?
Correct?
Okay.
So I think I understand
Manager,
the question now. Thank you. So these are positions that are currently unfilled. This just marks the market rate for these positions if they are to be hired at some future date. So that wouldn't change anything today.
So to make sure that we are understanding this correctly,
So, but if we're changing the salary range, and we could have got an IT director for 71,000.
so
now
I don't
to-
believe
We can't.
there is no adjustment to this salary range other than the assistant town manager position,
No,
correct?
there is. There
Oh,
is.
there is? Okay, then I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's the current unfilled positions of IT director, Department of Public Works director. Those are the only two that the salaries changed because the market rate changed.
Right.
These are currently unfunded.
Okay, so,
Got it. But, so it's not really cost neutral? Because if I hired a DPW director yesterday for 126,000, fired the person, then went to go hire him today, you're asking for 133 now for that position at minimum, correct?
Mr. Town Manager?
So this sets the schedule for market rate. If we were to hire somebody, we would need it to be fair market rate for us to hire a competent person.
Which would not be cost neutral and would cost us more money. I understand the market rate, but by agreeing to this as is, it's not exactly cost neutral.
There's no appropriation. We're not asking for one single dollar.
So to restate, I think I'm following along now, there is no additional budget appropriations for any of the modified roles, but it does set a new salary band should those positions be filled in the future.
Exactly. So if we were hiring someone for DPW at $170,000 yesterday, tomorrow we go to actually hire this person, and they want 180, you're asking us to improve the extra $10,000. And again, I'm not saying I'm against this, I'm just kind of figuring out that it's really not cost neutral.
I'll invite the town manager to address that.
I mean, so I called Foxborough, I called Mansfield, I called North Attleboro, I called Attleboro.
If you can just get closer to the microphone.
Oh, sorry. So I surveyed the neighboring communities, and then that's the range that they pay these positions. We're not asking for any of this money tonight. In the future, we will have to pay people fair market value. That would be up to a future town meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions on Article 2? Yes, sir. I honestly did not think we'd get much discussion on this one, so keeping me on my toes.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Moderator, Tom Noel, I'm at 45 Barrow Street. I just have a couple of questions on this article. What happens to the position currently filled if this is voted in? It sounds like changes are not going to be made immediately, or is that not correct?
So I will defer to the town manager there. I know we can't speak about the individuals filling roles, but we can speak about the roles themselves.
So this is about the most effective structure for the office moving forward. This isn't about any individual personnel decisions. As I understand it, the process required to fill a new position would require posting an application, which the incumbent would be more than welcome to do.
Thank you. The next question actually was, how is such a position to be filled if it is created? I think you've just answered, it is a select board decision, town manager and select board approval? Is that how it works?
You should just get a stool right near the microphone, Mark.
Positions in the entire town government are appointed by the town manager, subject to the select board's approval.
Thank you. And then a third and final, sorry for the multiple part question. Is there a list of requirements for this new position that we're being asked to create? In other words, the description seems to have morphed somewhat. Is there a job description created, or are we being asked just to fund a title, to approve a title without a different job description?
There is a publicly available job description that was provided to the Select Board and Finance Committee as part of the deliberations here. It substantially broadens the scope of duties that the town manager's office will be able to perform, bringing it in harmony with past town meeting decisions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you all. And I forgot to introduce Mark to everyone earlier. Mark Gould is our new town manager. He has been with us for, 6 weeks, Mark? So you're getting a real crash course in Norton. Welcome aboard. Okie dokie. Any additional questions on Article 2 as presented in the warrant? Seeing none, this does require a majority vote. All those in favor of Article 2 as presented in the warrant, please raise your hand. Thank you. All opposed? Article 2 passes by majority vote as declared by the moderator. Article 3.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to amend the vote taken under Article 8 of the May 19th, 2025 annual town meeting warrant by increasing appropriations for certain line items and, as funding therefore, to raise and appropriate the amount of $467,491, to transfer the amount of $200,000 from free cash, and to transfer the total amount of $205,049 within various operating budget lines, all as printed in the Finance Committee recommendations for Article 3 at tonight's meeting. And I think yep, that's it. So what you see in front of you, there are 3 sources. One from free cash, which is $200,000. Raise and appropriate is $467,491. And transfers from budget lines to budget lines, $205,049.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Second.
He did say second. I heard him twice. All right, so we have a motion and a second on Article 3 as presented. Mr. Town Manager, do you want to speak to this as well? This is actually why the old town manager left. I just made him walk too much.
Getting my steps in. This is very straightforward. It's supplementing the current year's budget to bring this in harmony with contractual obligations and transfers certain funds to pay for maturing principal on debt payments. That's it.
All right, thank you. Any questions on Article 3? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 3 as presented on the warrant, please raise your hand. All opposed? Article 3 passes by majority vote as declared by the moderator. Article 4. Article 4. Article 4 is declared lost for lack of a motion. Article 5. Article 5. Someone would need to make that motion. You have to do it from, as much as I would love to engage with the audience from their seats, I don't think that that's how this is supposed to go.
Debbie Winston, 77 Elm Street. I make a motion to reconsider Article 15.
Is there a second to this motion? There's lots of seconds. Okay, to explain to everyone what reconsideration is, it allows, if a reconsideration vote passes by majority, it reopens debate on the article. If the reconsideration motion fails, it locks in the result that was previously voted on. So, can we get some nods that everyone good with that? Okay. So if you vote to reconsider Article 15, that will open debate up on that article again and allow a different vote that could change the outcome. If the reconsideration vote does not pass, then that article is closed and cannot be brought back up at this town meeting.
So just so that I understand, if you vote no, that means that that article is defeated and it ends for tonight.
The
Article 15.
Article 15, defeated is a weird word, but Article 15, the result remains that it was referred to the planning board per the previous vote.
So if you vote no, that it refers it back to the planning board.
That's correct.
Thank you.
All right. So, all right. If you want to re-debate Article 15, you want to say yes to the reconsideration. If you want to make sure that debate has ended on Article 15, you would vote no on reconsideration. And it's a majority vote situation. All right. I think we got this, guys. All those in favor of reconsidering Article 15 and reopening it for debate, please raise your hand. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your hand. Article 15, motion to reconsider, fails by moderator majority. Article 6. Yep. Oh, sorry. I apparently did not finish killing Article 5. Article 5. Article 5. Article 5 is declared lost for lack of a motion. Article 6.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $1 million from free cash to the capital improvements account.
Second.
Okay. So we, any questions on Article 6 as presented in the warrant? Now, we got a lot of people moving around, so if anybody's going to a microphone, just throw your hand up. And I see no questions. Oh, we do have one. Thank you, sir.
I'm Eric Johansmeyer, 50 South Worcester Street. 2 questions. What's free cash and where can I get some?
So if our former moderator was here, he had a phrase that free cash is neither free nor cash. So I will do my best to answer that question and invite anyone to correct me. Free cash is an amount that is certified by the state from prior year operating budgets that has remained unspent and comes back to the town for redistribution. How'd I do, Mark? Good. Good. Thumbs up. Close enough. That's good enough for me. Okay. Oh.
Colleen Vasquez, Colonial Drive. I was just wondering, it says to raise and appropriate. What do you mean raise? Are you going to raise our taxes to get that money, the $1 million?
I will let the town manager answer that question.
No, absolutely not. We have a certain amount, 4.6 million in free cash. This is to take one of those millions and put it towards capital improvements.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you all. Any additional questions on Article 6? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 6, please raise your hand. Opposed? Article 6 passes by majority vote as declared by the moderator. Article 7.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $147,656 from the capital improvements account, $41,000 from water retained earnings, $475,000 from sewer retained earnings, and $300,000 from the ambulance reserve fund for a total of $963,656 to purchase, lease, with an option to purchase for periods of time up to or in excess of 3 years, new and/or replacement capital items for various town departments, including equipping any vehicles and all other incidental and related expenses, all as printed in the Article 7 of tonight's town meeting warrant.
Second. Motion and a second. If we could just scroll down to that table. That's at the top of the next page. Okie dokie. Any questions on Article 7? This does require a 2/3 majority vote to pass. Everyone's tired after Article 2. I get it. All in favor of Article 7 as presented, please raise your hand. All opposed? Article 7 passes by majority vote as declared by the moderator. Oh, sorry. Passes by 2/3 vote as declared by the moderator. Article 8.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $50,000 from free cash for the purpose of engineering, planning, design, permitting, materials, and construction of drainage improvements to the Barrows Court infrastructure and for related legal, administrative, and all other pertinent expenses associated with the project.
Second. Motion and a second for Article 8. Any questions on this article? Seeing none. All in favor of Article 8 as presented in the warrant, raise your hand. Thank you. All opposed? Article 8 passes by majority vote. Article 9.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $445,000 from water retained earnings for the engineering, planning, piloting, design, and permitting for the treatment facility upgrades and PFAS treatment, other contaminant remediation, and other water quality process improvements at all water sources, treatment facilities, and to authorize the Norton Water and Sewer Commission to apply for, accept, and expend any state or federal grants and loans or other public or private funds that may be available for the project, and to expend all funds available for this project, and including all costs incidental and related thereto.
Second. Motion and a second. Open the floor to debate. Mr. Schleicher.
Just a quick question. Nick Schleicher, 40 Northwester. Just a quick question. When it comes to PFAS, it's my understanding that the federal level of PFAS is a lot lower than what the state requires. Does the state give Norton any money, or is this just another unfunded mandate from the state?
Mr. Town Manager.
Excellent question. So the state regulation today is 20 parts per trillion. The federal regulation is 4 parts per trillion. There are various forms of money available in the form of clean water grants, and we're seeking out all the possible grant funding we can. There's a federal account with over $1 billion in it in grant funds. We're seeking those funds as well. As of now, we're asking to borrow $445,000 to engineer because we're currently not meeting the treated standard that is required.
Just want to clarify one thing, Mr. Town Manager. You said borrow, but I believe this is transferring from water retained earnings.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on Article 9? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Article 9 passes by majority vote. Article 10.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair.
I move to appropriate the sum of $3,500,000 and as a funding therefore authorize a borrowing for such purposes, and further to approve Article 10 as printed in tonight's annual town meeting warrant, because I chose not to read the full paragraph.
Well, as long as the lawyer doesn't tell you that's a bad thing, then. Oh, we're good. Okay. So, Article 10. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions on Article 10? I see someone at the microphone. Hello.
Hello, Cheryl Senior, 169 Reservoir Street. Would this include all of Elm Street from Reservoir up to 123?
I will kick that to the town manager or someone from the water sewer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, I love brevity. That's amazing. Any other questions on Article 10? Yes.
Yes, I'm Victor Jalala from 7 Winnicott Shores in Norton. The question is, in this article, you identify transfer or borrow. I think people should know what that means to borrow. I assume you're thinking about floating bonds and what the possible debt service may be on those bonds that we can experience here.
Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you. So the primary source of funds would be to borrow from the Water Enterprise Fund would borrow for this expense. There are currently many expenses that the Water Enterprise Fund is paying. Debt service falls off the schedule, new debt service gets added to the schedule, but that's the primary funding source that we'd be looking for authorization for this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Shabbat.
Mr. Moderator, and hopefully town manager won't have to stand up again. I think he answered my question. So this
sorry,
3.5 million is limited to the enterprise account. It is not funded through the general fund.
I got a thumbs up from the town manager. Anybody else? Yes.
I'm sorry, Cheryl Senior, 169 Reservoir. So the 3.5 is being borrowed because we lost the Mass Works grant when we voted against the development of the mill at Elman Cross.
Mr. Town Manager.
Yes, that's the primary source of these funds. I mean, there's an outside chance that the grant could go through, but that's not what we're asking tonight.
So it puts the development as presented to us previously back on track?
That's a separate process through the planning board approval. We have an old water main, we're asking to replace it because there's presumed lead goosenecks in it.
So the prior article was for sewer. This is just for water. So there were grant funds available for the sewer article that was brought up in the spring. This is separate.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Anybody else? Debbie.
77 Elm Street, Debbie Winston. I just wanted to clarify. So this is water main. It's not forcing anybody to go sewer. And is it doing anything with that Reed and Barton building?
Mr. Town Manager?
Correct, this is just water, and then the primary purpose is to borrow money for water mains. I mean, there's an outside chance, but that's a separate, planning board approval. That's not this evening. That project would have to go before the planning board to get approval.
So I believe the question is this bringing the water main to the Elm Street property?
This would include all of Elm Street.
Okay. Alrighty. Any other questions on Article 10? This requires a 2/3 majority to pass. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Article 10 passes by a 2/3 majority vote as declared by the moderator. Article 11.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $11,000 from free cash to comply with the federally mandated actuarial reporting requirements of post-employment benefits.
Second?
Okay, motion and a second. Anyone curious about Article 11? Any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor of Article 11 as presented in the warrant? Opposed? Article 11 passes by majority vote. Article 12.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5C and a half, which provides for an additional real estate exemption for taxpayers who are granted personal exemptions on their domiciles under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5, including certain blind persons, veterans, surviving spouses, and seniors, and to provide that additional exemption the additional exemption shall be 100% of the personal exemptions, to be effective for exemptions granted for any fiscal year beginning on or after July 1st, 2026.
Second?
Okay, Mr. Dorney from the Assessors Board is here to speak to this article.
Good evening. I just want to start and say that the Board of Assessors is much appreciative to present Articles 12 and following Article 13 this evening. It's been on our radar for probably about a year, maybe a little more. So we really see these as important articles that, well, you'll see that bring the community together. And one of the things I'd like to be thankful to both the Select Board and the Finance Committee that approved these articles at our presentations. So again, thank you. That's it.
Mr. Griffin? I thought I had more time. I snuck a piece of candy. I did not play them that well.
Okay. So this Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5C and 1/2, allows exemptions to be doubled on personal property. Currently, it affects or qualifies 60 seniors and 121 veterans, which are participating in the personal exemptions of their property. These exemptions will go in effect, if approved tonight, July 1st, 2026, which is the beginning of fiscal year 27. The seniors, they must meet an income and asset requirement to qualify, and the veterans have to be eligible. And in order to be eligible, you have to be a disabled veteran and with a disability between 10 and 100%. It must have a letter from the Veterans Administration stating the percentage of disability. Okay. Here, if you look at the numbers here, these are the clauses are just how they're categorized, and you can see what each. Did you go back one slide? Go back. No, the next one. Yeah. Yeah. No. It's going to go back, and it's going to tell you which each personal real estate tax exemption and which Mass General Law, what clause, the definition of each clause. So tonight we're going to be focusing on the yellow highlighted areas, and that would be clauses 17E, and that is someone who's age 70 or older as of July 1st of this tax year. 41D must have owned and occupied a home for 5 years. Let me just go back to 17E. the maximum income, it's not applicable, but the maximum assets of $58,667, and those are set by the Department of Local Services. The exemption amount is $258. Clause 41D, must have owned and occupied a home for 5 years. And this could be either a single homeowner or they could be married. The maximum income would be as someone single, $35,744. Couple, $53,619. Their maximum assets, as you can see, $58,667 for a single, $81,689 for married, and the exemption amount is $1,000. Moving along to veterans, Clause 22. This is it's service-connected disability. They must have lived in the home in Norton for 1 year, and their disability is anywhere between 10 and 90%. Again, it's qualified through the Veterans Administration, and that exemption will be $400. 22E, it's 100% disabled, must have lived in the home for 1 year, and that allows a $1,000 exemption. The other, what we're talking about tonight is Clause 37A, which is the legally blind, and that's a $500 exemption, and that's it for that. We can go to the next slide. So in our current, just one more. Next slide. Yeah, okay. So this tells which each clause, the number of exemptions on the personal property, the amount of the exemption, the total amount, and the amount reimbursed by the state. So it's important to note that we do get reimbursement from the state on certain exemptions. Clause 17E and 41D, we do not get any reimbursement, and the reason for that was that we did change the bylaws back in 2006. So currently, the total amount of exemptions for seniors is $47,763, and the veterans total between clauses 22 and 22E equals $73,000. So what we're asking tonight is that number, adding those two numbers together, $120,763. The opportunity, the article tonight is going to ask for a vote to double this exemption, which would come to an extra, well, which would be, we're asking for an extra $120,763.
Thank you, Mr. Dorney. Anything else?
With this clause, no.
Okay. Mr. Griffin.
Hi, Tim Griffin, 169 John Scott Boulevard. Just from a Prop 2.5 tax base perspective, and I hope I don't get too far into this that I lose my mind. So, under Prop 2.5, Norton's tax base, I view it like a pie, and the pie can expand 2.5% every year, correct?
Yes.
So, by increasing these exemptions, are we shrinking the pie, or are we giving those taxpayers more exemptions and everybody else funds more of the pie? Not saying I'm opposed to it, I just want to understand the mechanics of how it works with 2.5 in the budget.
So, your second point we're taking from the pie. It would come from new growth. We can talk about that. The new growth in the last couple of years exceeded last year it was 1.6 million. This year it's estimated to be close to 900,000.
But if you assume no new growth, which may not be, which isn't the case, the existing taxpayers are funding this exemption through our own taxes, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
What? Oh, yeah, it's not increasing your taxes, personal taxes.
Yes, so to clarify, this is
It's
not raising the
going
tax
over your
levy.
it's not, it's,
So, let me just explain real quick. Denise Ellis, Director of Assessing. The assessors have an account called the overlay account. That account is set up for all the abatements and all the exemptions. So what we're asking is for the extra money to go towards that, so it'll come out of that account, but we have to fund that account. So it has to come out of the budget somewhere. We're not asking for any more money, we just have to reallocate some of the money, I guess, is what's gonna happen. And that's that. So it's not going to be any additional tax funds for you, but it's just going to come from somewhere else. The money's already there, we just got to figure out where to get it from, basically is what it is.
Okay. Mr. Shabbat.
First, I want to say, Mr. Dorney, and your board, thank you. What I'm reading here, it says certain blind persons, veterans, surviving spouses, and seniors. This is a group of people, if we're going to have compassion on anyone, it's them. They've given to us, and one of them hit me really hard because I've seen it more than once. A surviving spouse at a young age is hit with something that you can't even imagine. And for $120,000 out of an $84 million budget, I don't see how we don't do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shabbat. Just to add to that, we do review the applications that come in every year, and many of our residents are 20, 30-year residents that have paid their taxes, that have involved and committed to projects throughout those years. And at this time, they need our help. And I think it's a worthy article to pass tonight. Again, I really think it's something that we all should feel as a community to do.
Thank you, Mr. Dorney. Bridget.
Bridget Carr, 113 Oak Street. Agree with a lot of the sentiments from Mr. Chabot. Just curious, you said you don't know where the money's coming from. The 120, it has to be shuffled around to fund the account, but you don't know where it's coming from? Is that what
Mr.
you're
Town
saying?
Manager.
Just curious.
Thank you. Yeah, the assessor's job is to tell you how much, what's the effect on the overall budget.
Mhm.
My job is to present the budget. So I would present this in the
Okay.
spring, and I'll find it for this cause.
Okay.
If you support it.
Okay, thank you.
Nick Schleicher, 40 North Switzer Street. This is the easiest one ever. Can we move the question?
All right. The question has been moved, so we'll go right to the vote. All those in favor of Article 12 as presented? All opposed? Article 12 passes by unanimous vote.
Thank you.
Article 13.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to reduce the age eligibility from age 70 to age 65 for the property tax exemption for senior citizens under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, to be effective for the exemptions granted for any fiscal year beginning on or after July 1st, 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any different things to share on this one, Mr. Dorney?
Yes, one slide should explain quite a bit. Yeah, okay. So what we're asking tonight is to take the exemptions that we just spoke about in Article 12 for the seniors that are qualified at age 70 plus. We're asking now to lower that age to age 65. So that would be age 65, 66, 67, 68, and 69. And the chart of a slide above kind of gives you a breakdown of our demographics. And it's broken up, and I guess our senior demographics. And if you take the, we did it by every increments of 5 years. And in short, from age 65 to, well, we did it to age 90, just about a little under 21% of our population falls into those categories of those ages. Currently, if we look at age 70 and above with those exemptions, we're talking again about seniors, there's 60 residents or properties. Of those 60, there's really 2,609 residents that are over 70 above. So if you take the 60 divided by 2,609, it's just about 2%, it's a little over 2% participating. So if we lower that and we take that same math and we put it towards the 1,337, that 2% gives you just 27 people that we could think could participate and qualify. But if you think about it, there's many people that are still working at age 65, 66, 67. So we don't think that there'll be that many people that will be able to meet that income and asset qualification and guideline. So we'd like to move that. Again, just it's the same. We just want to lower the age from 70 to 65.
Thank you, Mr. Dorney. Any questions on Article 13? Seeing none, we'll move right to the vote. All in favor of Article 13 as presented in the warrant? All opposed? Article 13 passes by unanimous vote as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Article 14.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $10,000 from the Water Pollution Abatement Trust Program Reserve for appropriation account to support administrative costs of said program.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Article 14. Any questions on this article? Or is everybody pretty much done and wants to go home? Article 14, we have Mr. Sheedy is ready to go. So all in favor of Article 14 as presented in the warrant? All opposed? Article 14 passes by majority vote. Thankfully, we've already done Article 15, so we'll jump right to Article 16.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $70,000 from free cash to the Compensated Absences Trust Fund established to cover the future payment of accrued liabilities for compensated absences due to any employee or officer of the town upon termination of employment from which appropriations may be made by the town manager and town accountant.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions on Article 16? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 16, please raise your hand. Opposed? Article 16 passes by majority vote. Article 17.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $330,000 from free cash to the Other Post-Employment Benefits Liability Trust Fund established to cover the unfunded actuarial liability for retirees' health care and life insurance benefits.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any questions on Article 17? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 17 as presented? All opposed? Article 17 passes by majority vote. Bill, it's almost over. Article 18.
Can I take my time?
I would go very, very slowly.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Chair.
I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $750,000 from free cash to the stabilization fund.
Second?
Okay, this is our final article for the evening. Any questions on this? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 18? All opposed? Article 18 passes by majority vote. And before we adjourn, I just want to give a shout out to our amazing poll workers for checking everybody in and doing the standing count. As well as the custodial staff of Norton High for taking care of us. So if you can just pick up any trash as you go, make their nights a little easier. And with that, I declare a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's about 200 seconds. Oh, yeah. All in favor of adjourning? Yeah. All right. Unanimous. Have a good night, everybody. See you in the spring.